이제 오늘의 마지막 발표인데요. 사실은 제가 전 세계 많은 스마트팜 농장을 다 다녀봤는데 가면 막 부럽기도 합니다. 그러면서도요, 늘 가슴에 남았던 게, 야, 우리만의 색깔이 있는 이런 스마트팜은 없을까? 이런 늘 생각을 했었는데요. 제가 드디어 찾았습니다. 우리 텔로팜의 이정원 교수, 또 서울대 교수도 하고 계시죠. 이분이 하고 있는 이 스마트팜은 과연 어떤 차별화된 스마트팜인지 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 교수님 부탁드리겠습니다.
감사합니다. So when I deliver the lecture, there's a rule enforced by school. If there's more than one international students, you must use English. So I'm going to use English today. So good afternoon, everyone. And my name is Jong Lee, the CEO of Telofarm. And today I would like to share my thoughts and imaginations on new idea about agriculture with you. Well, do we need to produce more food to feed the whole population on Earth? The fact is that actually we are already producing twice more food than needed. And the real problem is supply chain and harvest, and more than anything else, sustainable production. So how can we solve this problem? Well, let's take a look at our journey into this beautiful industry. Our ancestors 10,000 years ago stopped roaming and started their own culture, own production, farming in their backyard. And that was the beginning of civilization that we appreciate nowadays. Well, 17th and 19th century in England saw big jump of this production. Well, they actually used an array of devices, like array of plow, an array of planters, imported from China actually. And they also tried crop rotation to make the land and soil much more productive. Well, it is very interesting that this British agricultural revolution triggered industrial revolution. So this is the fact we need to memorize. Agricultural revolution triggered industrial revolution. During the 30s to 60s, a green revolution occurred, especially in the US and Mexico. They started using hybrid seeds, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides, and made a lot of things mechanized so that they can cover humongous area. Large farms actually showed up. And they actually resolved the problem of, they actually eradicated famine and poverty based on this big production. But the cost to pay was too high. Actually, they have to do monocropping. They have to use a lot of pesticides, pollution, and more than anything else, supply chain issues, and more than anything else, well, carbon emission, So these are the problems we need to solve. How can we solve them? Well, let's take a look at the data revolution. I would say, without any exaggeration, that data revolution occurred in 1 year, 1958, when Jack Kilby at Texas Instruments invented the first integrated circuit. He's got the Nobel Prize. When Dr. Kang Dae-won invented flash memory around the same time, he just perished, he didn't get the Nobel Prize. Well, in 1 year, actually. So these devices became microprocessors and the memory devices. That changed our lives fundamentally. You know that. That's the data revolution. But there's a much more interesting thing going on nowadays. Well, think about the manufacturing technology that supported data revolution. What did they use as a material? Silicon. What do they use as a material in agriculture? Carbon. What are in common between them? Carbon and silicon. They are group 14 element in the periodic table, same table. So now is the time to look at how this kind of two different technologies can marry each other. And in my company, actually, we carved the silicon, made into sharp needles, and then we engrave the metal patterns on top of that. We implant into the plant, and then measure transpiration rate. So this is the tomato vine. It's very easy to install our sensors, and then we can measure, the transpiration rate, the water flow rate through xylem vascular bundle, which is key signal from the plants. So now we understand the plants. Let me ask you, what is this signal? What do you think? It looks like a EKG, right? It looks like a heartbeat, right? And the fact is, it is actually the signal from the plant. I intentionally used the fake sound to make it look like a heartbeat signal EKG. But this is the sap flow rate. And I made it accelerated by 86,400 times to make 1 day in 1 second. So this is sunrise, this is sunset. As sunrise, sap flow goes up. As sunset, sap flow comes down, right? So this is what's happening here. Well, this sap flow rate has tight correlation with environment, such as weather. And it also tells us whether the plants need water, if our fertilizer is working well, if the plants are suffering from pests. So it has a lot of important information embedded in this data. So we are looking at plant-centered data using silicon semiconductor technology as of now. And after like 7-8 days, I cut this poor plant off, and then you see even the flatliner. So it tells us about all the stories. Plants are speaking to us. We can listen to it. Well, you can use this plant signal to actually adjust your irrigation precisely enough. And then you can even reduce this irrigation. We call this deficit irrigation, and we have a control over it so that you can actually make this plant feel high stress. When they are stressed out, well, they will produce, first of all, we can save the water. Save the water by more than 60% compared to any existing agricultural approaches. And the result is, you can actually produce very sweet fruit. In this case, it is the cherry tomato whose average sugar bricks is 13. What is 13 sugar bricks? This tomato is sweeter than sweetest strawberry. It's really one of a kind, But at the same time, because we use very small amount of water, there's no water we actually dump out. We can protect the environment. No fertilizer to dump out, And also, we use zero pesticide because the whole environment is very dry. Pests simply cannot live in this environment. So look, this is totally sustainable agriculture. We save the water, but additional benefit is actually high quality fruit and actually productivity as well, So what kind of crops did we cover? So many. Not just the tomato, or we cover sweet pepper, strawberries, and cucumber, and almond, even wine grapes, melons, a lot of things actually. So this leads to me into my imagination into the next revolution, and that resembles data revolution. At first, this x-axis is actually the time, and the y-axis is the number of internet hosts in the world. Obviously, the first number of internet hosts should be just one. And then there should be a humongous computer, single computer in this room. But people learn that actually you have more flexible device, smaller device, then you can develop data much better, actually. That's why we developed personal computers in the 80s. And then now you have your own computers, actually. So you are the internet host. The number of internet hosts in the world is the same as number of population in the world, actually. We can follow the same path. Why do we just have to focus on this, a not very sustainable method of gigantic farming? Can we grow our own food from our backyard professionally, assisted by talking to plants, assisted by these semiconductor technologies, and we can do better in the future as well? Well, let me introduce the importance of this distributed farming one more time. This is serious business. It's not a hobby. It's not a pastime. You can grow your own food at very high efficiency around the corner of your town in the backyard to feed your whole family and then sell more if you are lucky. So this whole system can be autonomous and then just run through our daily lives, you know. Well, finally, let me talk about sixth revolution. That's going to be space farming. You know, I heard a very exciting news this morning. Elon Musk actually launched a space mission that's called Polar Dawn mission for civil people for spacewalking. You know, congratulations, Elon, by the way. So actually, in Korea, we have a rocket technology, very economical, and we can launch thousands of rockets at very low cost. Thousands of rockets at very low cost into the orbit. And a few days ago, actually, the Space Agency of Korea announced exploration into L4, Lagrange point. This is a zero gravity point where they can build humongous structure. So obviously, this exploration will lead to colonization, actually, like any other exploration, you know. And we can build gigantic structure like this O'Neill cylinder there, you know, Stanford torus, 2 kilometers wide, rotating every minute to produce artificial gravity, like the gravity on Earth. And this is very small space. If you want to stay there, if you want to live up there, you have to do your own farming in the backyard of space. You have to survive there, you know. So this is what my company is doing. We are working day in and day out on this, you know, efficient farming, assisted by the silicon manufacturing process. And our ancestors believed that, you know, the farmers are the foundations of heaven and earth. And now is the time our country has the leading semiconductor technology that can actually assist future farming that lead to multi-planetary species eventually. Thank you very much.
감사합니다. 여러분들 우리 그 이정원 대표님이 생산한 토마토 이렇게 먹어보신 분 계세요? 네, 있구나. 저는 먹어봤습니다. 맛이 어땠나 물어봐 주세요. 겁나 달아요, 진짜. 정말 답니다. 진짜 한번 먹고 싶으면 처음에는 설탕을 집어넣나 할 정도로 이렇게 단 건데요. 그게 기술인데요. 제가 이 농업의 이런 반도체 기술을 접목시킨 이런 스마트팜은 제가 전 세계를 봐도 거의 없는 것 같아요. 교수님, 요 그 농업의 반도체를 어떻게 적용한 좀 쉽게 설명할 수 없을까요, 이거를?
여러분들의 스마트폰을 보시면 제일 중요한 게 마이크로 프로세서죠. 그게 2나노, 3나노, 메모리 2나노, 3나노 디벨롭돼서 여기까지 온 건데 의외로 여러분이 모르시는 게 그 안에 센서가 들어 있습니다. 그 센서는 전부 다 대부분 실리콘으로 만들어져 있고요. 여러분의 마이크로폰도 실리콘으로 만들어져 있습니다, 요즘은. 그리고 거기에는 회전을 감지하는 센서, 기압을 감지하는 센서 이런 것들이 옛날에는 한 100만 원 정도의 우리 커다란 탁자 정도의 볼륨에 들어갈 것들이 요즘은 저기 이영환 교수님 계신데 1달러에 그거보다 100배 더 성능이 높은 것들이 들어 있습니다. 그게 바로 실리콘 센서 기술입니다. 실리콘 센서 기술이 우리의 그 인바이러먼트를 스마트하게 바꾸는데 이렇게 일조를 해왔는데 당연히 농업에서도 실리콘 센서 기술이 지금부터 들어가야 될 시점이라고 생각합니다. 그 첫 번째 저희가 시도한 실리콘 센서 기술이 바로 식물의 혈압과 맥박을 재는 마이크로세플로 센서가 되겠습니다. 앞으로도 훨씬 더 많은 실리콘 센서 기술이 이 분야에 이바지할 것으로 생각합니다.
아마 이런 기술들은 식물을 뛰어넘어서 아마 동물에도 적용된다 그러면 더 확장성이 있을 것 같고요. 오늘 세 분 발표 잘 들었습니다. 여러분 세 분 발표 들으면서 느끼시는 게 없을까요? 저는 이 농업의 경쟁력이 바뀌고 있다는 생각이 듭니다. 과거에 우리가 농업의 경쟁력 얘기를 할 때는요, 야, 우리 농가는 어떤 장비를 갖고 있지, 어떤 시설을 갖고 있지, 어떤 기술을 갖고 있지, 이걸 뛰어넘어서요. 앞으로는 야, 우리는 어떤 인공지능 알고리즘을 갖고 있지, 더 나아가서 야 우리는 어떠한 반도체 칩을 사용하고 있지 이렇게 바뀔 것 같거든요. 그런 차원에서 저는 앞으로 한국 농업이 그야말로 개척자가 될 것이냐 아니면 그냥 파수꾼이 될 것이냐 우리의 선택이 아닌가 싶어서요. 또 한번 열심히 노력해 봐야 될 것 같습니다. 감사합니다. 네, 고맙습니다.
네, 고맙습니다. 저희 다시 한번 또 차장 민승규 석좌 교수님 그리고 패널로 함께해 주신 도부 페트만 CFO 강현준 대표님, 이정훈 대표님께 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 고맙습니다. 자, 이것으로 1부 기술 기반 농업 어디까지 왔나 마무리하도록 하겠습니다.